all of that stuff. So this is sort of taking that into account. And then wall, I'm just going to do interior wall 50. And again, if you look around at the walls, it's not just white paint. There's whiteboards. There's stuff that we have to also take into account. If you do not assign a material to a layer, so does everybody see that we assign materials by layers? So the reason that we break up the model by floor, walls, and ceiling here is because we're using the same material assumptions for all of the walls and all of the floor and all of the ceiling. If we don't assign a material to it, it will not be visible in the rendering. It won't be anything. So for now, I'm going to leave glass blank and default blank and do submit. So then I'm going to go to metrics and click up here to where it says daylight images and click visualization. Okay, so there's a lot of choices here. For now, what we're interested in is the date and the time. So this is 03:15, and the last number is the time in 24-hour time. So what's the time right now in 24-hour time? 16, roughly. So let's change this to 16. 15 and 52. Okay. So by default, this is going to give us a rendering of luminance. Does everybody remember what the difference between illuminance and luminance is? What is luminance? Right. And I'm going to do run simulation. So this is low quality, which is useful for getting a rough idea of what the lighting conditions are. You shouldn't really ever have to go above medium quality unless you're running a very tightly controlled model.
So for camera time, you could anticipate.
Yeah.
My camera's crazy.
What?
My camera's out of control.
So this is what I got.
Wow.
So what is different than our expectation here? We're looking at the south window. So what were we expecting to see? Right. Okay. So we don't see any direct sunlight on the floor, which might also just be that it's the middle of winter and fairly late in the afternoon.
Seems to be more sunlight.
So, what can we do with this rendering? It's not so useful in terms of a realistic rendering. Like this will never compete with V-Ray or other things. What we can do though is convert it to a false color image. And this starts to give us real data. So with this false color image, we can click on different parts of the image and get the actual reading at that spot. So again, this is looking at luminance. So this is measuring the light that is actually bouncing off that actual surface that we're clicking on. So if you click out here, it's way high because that's just outside. Yeah.
So the wall unit created luminance, correct?
Luminance, yeah. So let me save this image. Actually, save image. I'm going to save it as a JPEG file. Okay, let me run through the basic simulation once more. So click on metrics, daylight images, visualization. It's important that you have the camera that you're using selected, like that view selected. It says select camera views, current perspective views, current perspective view, camera type perspective. It should default to the same date that you used before. So I'm going to run an illuminance image, and I'm just going to check render illuminance image here. And then run simulation. Okay, so not too much difference here. If I go to false color, I always choose zero-based legend with the false color. And that way we know that the bottom of the scale is always 0. Okay, so what is different between these two images here? At the most basic level, what has
thermal.
changed?
One is measuring thermal radiation.
One is what?
Thermal radiation.
No. So one is the top one is illuminance,
Oh yeah.
and the bottom one is luminance. Now, the main difference is that it's using completely different units. So lux is roughly the same thing as foot candles, except it's the metric version. So 10 lux equals 1 foot candle, more or less. What? Yeah, no, it would be easier if we all use metric. Candelas per meter squared is also metric, but for some reason it gets used more often in this country than Lux does. So any questions so far? Has anybody had any problems following along that far?
How do you display
The false color?
yeah.
So if you go to the false color tab here, after it opens up, and you set zero-based legend, and then hit update false color. Now, it's important to know that the default behavior for Radiance is to adjust the image so that it looks just about right. In order to get accurate readings with the false color, what you need to do is, in the images that you're comparing, you need to set the scale to be exactly the same. So if I set the top of the scale to 5,000, what do you think will happen to the image? It was 1,000 before.
You see a much smoother transition.
Let's see. So now, if we look at our scale, our values haven't changed, but whereas 1,000 used to be the top of the scale, 1,000 is now down in the light blue to dark blue range. So, but what we could see now is a lot more detail at the very bright windowsill here. And if we were comparing against an image that was a lot brighter, we would need to have the same scale that kind of worked for both images. So let me go back to 1,000. Okay, so I'm. Let's see if I can do one more, and I'm going to change the time of day to be noon, and let's see if we actually get some direct light in. Okay, so at noon, we actually start to see actual direct light coming through the window. So I'm going to set this to the same scale, and this should be lux.
So we have to work with Lux.
Well, it's a peculiarity of the false color image program is that it was written by a guy in Germany, so it's in metric. But fortunately, it's very easy to convert between lux and foot candles. So let me open up. So here we can compare the illuminance of two images, and the reason that we can compare these is because we've got the exact same color scale. if we set this color scale to be different, then the comparison is not really valid. See, now that they look about the same, except the yellow here is 2,000 and above, and the yellow here is 1,000 and above. Okay, so has everybody been able to render something successfully so far? No. Why not?
Recording.
I have everything except